I feel happy actually for the thing, mostly because the prize, I didn't expect to win it obviously, but you know, it was a surprise mostly. Yeah. End is about a story about a boy with his friends that were abducted by aliens, him particularly. He was too curious, so he then like saved the day obviously at the end of the day, but it was more like the journey was, it taught him about to cherish his life even further, to pursue his dreams, I guess, and yeah, just live life to the fullest. Yeah. I don't really find anything apart from sci-fi to be interesting. I'm not a romantic guy or any of those type of things. I don't cry for those type of things, but I feel maybe something from it, but not that deep into it.
Time will tell.
Thinking back, probably when I was in year 8, which is JS2. So it was like in an English class. They told us, I think we should just write anything, any type of category of like fiction. And I chose sci-fi, and that's when I even like started writing this particular story. That's when it like I started to get material to start this story.
What inspired me to write that story was that at the time that I wrote the story was when a lot of people were committing suicide in Nigerian universities. Like, it was almost a daily thing. Every time I wake up, my mom tells me a story about somebody that committed suicide, and then I decided to write about it just to create awareness. Actually, there was a person, I've forgotten, I cannot really remember the story in detail, but I know that he drank poison and then he died because his family wasn't giving him, he thought his family wasn't giving him enough attention. It was actually very challenging because I had to do some research. I read about people who committed suicide. I read about their story, what they shared in common, and kind of like centralized it to create Kennedy. I think writing stories, it started in primary school, but I was not really serious about it because I did not know the importance. But when I entered secondary school was when I really developed the interest for writing, because our school really pushes you to write a lot.
My story was about Memuna, a young girl who was forced into marriage. My stories are based off of happenings around me and what affects girls and women all over the world pertaining to my age group and how to deal with it. I was excited, I was honored because it's a privilege. I feel like it has given me the opportunity to really want to improve my writing more and more and want to become a better writer in the future.
It was 3 poems. The first one was Lost in Me. Lost in Me was about a girl who is trying to find herself, who is trying to know who she is. Second one was I Was Born. I Was Born is about a woman. It's about the power and strength of a woman. And the third one was Silent Scream. It's about a girl who is being raped by her uncle but cannot say it out, so she screams silently. That's why it's called Silent Scream.
So how did you feel about winning?
Well, actually, I was happy. I didn't actually write to win. My main aim was just put my work out there. That was the main thing. But I was happy I won. I started writing when I was 7, and that was because I like telling stories. I like telling people stories, and I'm not very good at talking with people. So the best way I do it is by writing. So, and poetry was okay. I didn't actually start writing poetry. I started writing short stories, but I had a mentor, so I just tried poetry. So okay, and I tried poetry, and it was good. So yes, at least it has encouraged me that I could do something, and that my work is actually good enough. So yes, really helped me in knowing that yes, I could do it.
I'm very excited and also surprised because I was never expecting it. Love, suicidal, and culture. It was one of my friends. It was actually, I don't actually know, but they said something like that she was betrayed by one of our friends. Like, we are like a group of friends, 3 of us. We don't call ourselves the Squash. Then, is it one of our friends? She just betrayed her and did something. The second point is culture. Yes, I love culture, and then maybe my brother.
What culture? What aspect of culture?
I love every culture. That's why the poem is about. I actually like to learn about every culture I know. I try my best to do it, even at schools, even though I came from the northern eastern part of Nigeria, but I try as hard as possible to learn the cultures of like other countries. Like not even Nigeria alone. I try to learn from other countries, their culture, the way they behave, their traditions, and
Okay, so when my friends told me, I didn't really come to terms with it yet till I got to cover first, and then I now realized it, like, because this is the first poetry prize I'm winning ever. So right now I'm very, very happy, and I see this as the beginning. Like, finally my writing career has finally begun, so I'm very happy. I write to create places. I write to create worlds that I know cannot exist. So, okay, I create like alternate universes that I know cannot exist. So I feel like my writing is like an escape. So when I write, I create different worlds, different settings, different scenarios that I know that, okay, this cannot exist, but I wish they could. So my writing to me is an escape, and then I write to inspire. I write to tell stories also. Okay, it's actually 3 pieces. So the first one is about Nigeria. The title is Fragile. The first line in the poem is "We are warriors." So I feel like in that poem I talk about how Nigerians are. The second one is about women. I wrote it on International Women's Day. The last one is about, it could, because poetry can be expressed anyhow. So I feel like the last piece can be seen as a survival poem, or it's titled, I actually forgot the title. But then that particular piece talks about sexual abuse.